footnotes in the evening, where the truth sleeps in the fine print. Yeah. It was all a dream, used to paper trade in twilight. Now the book moved different when my limit orders hit right. I let the price come to me, like respect in the borough. Never chase a candle, only amateurs follow. I was calm at the bottom, that's the loudest thing I've spoken. I'm never early, I'm on time, it's the markets, watch this broken. They panic, sell the winner like the season's a surprise. I just dress for it accordingly and shop the falling prices. I read footnotes in the evening, where the truth sleeps in the fine print. While the headlines sell the sizzle, I'm at dinner with the state. The crowd invests in stories, I invest in what survives them. Cash flow doesn't gossip, and it's never once been late.
We in it for the long money, strong money, that blue chip.
Let the tape do the talking while the whole street's tripping.
Slow hands, cold blood, that's the way we move different.
Daily stack, we ain't lucky, we just do the math different.
Long money, strong money, that blue chip.
Everything we touch keep compounding while they flipping.
When the bell ring out, you gon' know who ran it.
Stack by stack, we took the market like we planned it. Yo, Monday morning, JFDI got the tape spread out like breakfast. Volume tells the truth, even when the price commits perjury. He's watched 1,000 breakouts lie and never took it personal. He just lets the fakes exhaust themselves, then quietly get surgical. Joey Salitro, cool as the other side of the pillow, watching bases built for weeks like a sculptor watching marble. He waits on confirmation like a gentleman, holds the door. Then he rides the trend so smooth the chart forgets what red was for. Tuesday, father betrays, goes shopping where the algorithms don't deliver. Many monsters in the small print, he just walks them out on leashes. No coverage, no spotlight, just cash flow growing quiet. He finds them priced like rumors when the numbers read like riots. The street will write the research once the easy money's made. By then he's had the thesis framed and hanging by the fireplace. And problem sniper slide through with the coldest pen and premium. Writing puts on names he married, never dating out his medium. He sells umbrellas by the forecast, never waits on rain. Time decays, a silent partner, splitting profit, never fame. And if they put the shares to him, he just says thank you twice. Cause getting paid to buy your favorites isn't risk, it's a device.
Everybody wants to trade,
nobody wants to wait.
Everybody loves the win,
nobody loves the work.
We fell in love with the process,
so the prophets got jealous and moved in. My cost base is aging like the wine up in the cellar. Every dip's a dinner bell if the thesis still stellar. I'm not married to a ticker, I'm married to the method. The exits in the plan before the entries even breakfast. Your boy traded on the feeling, now the feeling's all that's left. He called it deep conviction, but conviction keeps receipts. Me, I audit my decisions like the market's my accountant. Cause it is and it's relentless and it's never lost a sheep. This for the ones who lost it once and built it back with better bones. Who learned the market's not a casino, it's a mirror and a loan. It lends you what you study, it collects on what you skip. Every blown account's a professor if you keep the transcript. We compound in the quiet, no cameras, no chorus. A percent at the time till the total's getting gorgeous. The neighbors either harvest, they never seen the planting. That's the difference between wishing on a star and understanding. They say money never sleeps.
Truth is, it naps
right before the open.
When it wakes up hungry,
it knows the address.
The tape is talking,
the book is loaded.
We in it for the long, we in it for the long money, strong money, that blue chip.
Let the tape do the talking while the whole street's tripping.
When the bell ring out, you gon' know who ran it.
Stack by stack, we took the market like we planned it.
And if you don't know, now you know. If you don't know, Danny stack market starts now.
No.
Danny stack market starts now.
No.
Know who ran it.
Stack by stack, we took the market like we planned it.
And if you don't know, now you know. If you don't know, Danny stack market starts now.
No.
Money that blue chip.
Let the tape do the talking while the whole street's tripping.
When the bell ring out, you gon' know who ran it.
Stack by stack, we took the market like we planned it.
And if you don't know, now you know. If you don't know, Danny stack market starts now.
No. Now,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Daily Stack. I gotta get that timing down a little bit more on the new jam, JFDI, but I appreciate it, and hopefully it is getting good. Nasdaq is bleeding out almost a full percent last I checked, while the chips have taken quite a beating, going back to the woodshed. Micron, a stock we talk about a lot, is down 5%. Whole semi-complex is sliding. Do we have a winning trade here on Wednesday? I believe is Nvidia earnings. Trump dropped the 50% tariffs on Canadian cars and steel, so Canada is swinging back. Meanwhile, gold is partying at record highs near 4,700. Bitcoin ripped 23% last week, 79, getting close to 80, I believe, and I got to just check that. But as I mentioned, all eyes on Nvidia. We're going to be talking about quite a few stocks here today. HIMS, OSCR, Hinge, OMDA, which I'm not familiar with, so you'll have to keep me up to speed on that. Palantir, MSTR, Bitcoin, and a whole lot more. So, how you feeling? Anything fun that happened this weekend for you? You're on mute, I think. Let me unmute you here. Let's start again. There we go.
Yeah,
Anything fun happened this weekend?
It was a great weekend. I feel like my cortisol levels go through the roof when crypto starts pumping, though, because it's like the market closes, but then it's like, dude, I just want to keep watching, what crypto's doing all weekend. But yeah, it was a great weekend. I don't know, just chill. How about you?
Welcome to our world. Chill weekend, I'd say overall. I got the kid now, so the days of partying are over, and now my days of going to the park are here. So I went to the park, and they got a wedding. Shout out the Finkelsteins who are getting married in Quebec City. Never been there. So if you have any fun tips, let me know.
Yeah, no, I haven't been there either.
Any listeners, if you have fun tips on Quebec City, would love to know. But I will be locked up. So yes, Bitcoin. It's been fun for us. We are a Bitcoin, I'd say based show, and but we've obviously brought into the stock market as well, because that is my first love. So we're doing a little mix of both. But what do you want to start with first? HIMS, OSCR, Hinge, Palantir, MSTR. Or let's start with Bitcoin, since we're talking about Bitcoin quick.
Yeah, totally. I think that's kind of been the big story. You want me to pop some charts up?
Yeah, pop some charts. Helps the show run smoothly. Bitcoin price right now is actually, I have my little handy dandy. Oh, it went away actually. As of this second, 79,652.50 is the latest tick here. So we will see if Bitcoin's going to go on its generational run here, or if it dies out again in October. 2017 is still my calling for when it really starts rocking. But let me pull up the charts here. I think 2017, what did I say? 2027. I'm a decade off here this morning. But I think 2027 is going to be the big lift off. But maybe we start the run a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I think it looks fantastic. And this breakout, the weekly breakout candle, I'd look at this as kind of an igniter. Like, this is going to likely ignite the move. When I look at patterns, typically when these patterns build out, you can kind of look at where the pattern originated as kind of a magnet, like, where like you could either place a target or, someone called a measured move. In looking at Bitcoin and kind of breaking out of this, long descending channel, the pattern originated back here at highs. So, I'm definitely in the camp, technically speaking, that we're going to gravitate right back towards highs. Whether that happens sooner rather than later, I mean, that to be determined. In looking at it, I've been I'm not a huge oscillator or indicator guy, but a guy that I'm working with kind of turned me on to this awesome oscillator that he derives a lot of signal from. And I thought it was pretty interesting how, we talked about this a while back, I believe, where, price kind of put in a big pivot low here and the oscillator stretched. That low actually got taken out over here, and there wasn't a lot of to kind of push price lower. on top of that, you have a ton of really tight weekly closes here. And I think that was a big clue. Obviously, at this point, it's a little, in hindsight, but either way, I think this was kind of a big clue that something was coming, whether the resolution was going to be to the downside or the upside. But in the way that it came, depending on how things kind of play out, I suppose, I don't know. I thought it was more tied to the talks over the Clarity Act as opposed to anything else, but you'd probably know better than I in that.
Yeah, well, so Scott Beston's coming on, I believe at 1:00. Not on our show. That'd be pretty cool if he came on. But I think he's going to be talking here, and he's also a Trumper in terms of usually the market rips if he says something nice here. So we should see here in the next 15 minutes. Actually, I think he's coming up in the top of the hour. But yeah, I mean, I think part of it was Besant doing some of those buybacks, right? And it just starts feeling, Trump has a lot of investments in Bitcoin, as we've seen. He wants to pad his bag here. So
I think it's
maybe we're here.
I think the way that I'm kind of approaching it is, or at least looking at it, is he does want to pad his bags, but I feel like they're trying to lay the groundwork for, again, this kind of new era, this new monetary system as a whole. And obviously, if that's what they're trying to do and how we're trying to kind of push things forward, he wants to, profit off of that.
Yeah. And the Clarity Act is not really Bitcoin directly, right? It's more around stable coins but it awakes the institutions just to give them some clarity as to what the rules will be. And ultimately that does affect Bitcoin and people buying Bitcoin, and these Trump accounts, maybe they start putting in, some of that as well. And so, it is very interesting timing. We all thought the 4-year cycle was dead. It looked like it was, basically a 60% drop down from the highs, right? And so the 4-year cycle may be back. Look at that. That's crazy. SPX.
Yeah. Again, kind of, back to pattern wise, on the weekly, I have more of a descending channel drawn, but when you kind of zoom out even further to the monthly, it's got more of a descending wedge as opposed to a descending channel. And these descending wedges can be incredible. Like I find that descending wedges are a lot more of a reliable pattern than ascending wedges. Because an ascending wedge is more or less like a topping pattern.
Yeah.
I don't pay too much attention to topping patterns personally. I'd rather play the longer term, uptrend. But if you're looking at this and kind of how price, broke this kind of long standing trend line. I mean, this is probably the reason a lot of people really started to say, kind of fuck this thing. Like it could very easily, where price is sitting underneath these prior highs, like it's not out of the question to say price could have reverted back to, the teens, the 20s. Not saying that like
20s, I don't know about. That'd be crazy.
I'm just saying that from my perspective, I think that anything's possible. And once you kind of revert back into a prior range, you're in no man's land. And I'm just saying, I think anything is possible. But how they snap price back and then kind of busted it higher, I don't know. I just think it looks so freaking good.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm trying not to get like too hyped up and too excited on it. I would definitely want to see it kind of like, push up and follow through, but I don't know. I think it looks good.
Well, more spending is on the way, right? They're going to do the Department of Defense. I think, when is that bill coming out? They're going to be spending on that, and even the Democrats are going to spend on that too, right? Like I don't think that's going to go down. No government. Stop spending. And that is just like my ultimate belief here with Bitcoin too, is just like they're going to continue to spend, continue to lower the dollar. And ultimately people need to find something that has 21 million, which is actually like 19 million if you think about the lost coins and things like that. So it's fascinating. I mean, you think, I don't know how much you know about the Coldcard incident, but true, like hardcore, basically, that's what's wild. A lot of people, if you ask anyone on the street, they didn't know. But like hardcore Bitcoiners, basically one of the most trusted cold wallets, they had a security failure where over like $100 million was taken, right? And this was like the one cold wallet that people did trust. And so like real Bitcoiners got a little nervous. And I think a lot of the money started flowing back into like ETFs or back into, apps like River or Swan and things like that, where people got a little nervous, holding their coins on this wallet, right? So
sure,
we were talking about that, getting MPC and making sure that you have multi custodians there, so you don't get wrecked. Of course,
as a Bitcoiner, what's your thought, or how do you feel about like all the other like coins and crypto coins and projects? Like what?
Yeah, I'd say in general, I'm Bitcoin only. I think a lot of Bitcoiners are that, but alt season never happened again. Like people were expecting this whole alt season to happen again. Now some of these are lifting, of course, with Bitcoin, and I think the good projects that have survived, I think could actually benefit quite a bit here, and maybe you'll get additional gains than you could get from like in terms of opportunity cost for Bitcoin.
Sure.
But there's a few that people like. I don't know if you can pull all that stuff up, but like
I was just again kind of like
even Ethereum you're talking about.
Yeah, Ethereum I think looks phenomenal. Like I kind of like XRP, and then Hype and Zcash I think both look phenomenal too. I don't really, again, like I'm a technical guy, so like I'll more or less kind of trade anything. And if the charts look good, like I'll definitely play them. But I only got turned on to those because, like I said, John Morgan was on our show a while back, kind of.
Yeah, I got to bring him back.
About him.
I mean, this is the Monday show and Tuesday show. We talk, we want
you guys would
gains, right? So open-minded to some of these other ones, but I think the rising tide lifts all boats ultimately. So some of these will go with it. Overall though, I just think everything is eyes on Bitcoin, and that kind of leads the direction.
What are your thoughts in gold in relation to Bitcoin? Do you think that there's like a I don't want to say a pair trade, but
there's a lot.
There's something
like Ledn. Ledn, for example, is our main sponsor of the show, which I'll hit that advertisement shortly here. But they just got into gold too, right? And they were Bitcoin only forever. And I think a lot of institutions want to, they look at it more of like a hedge or to the downside, right? If Bitcoin is pretty volatile, I think it's a way for big money to feel a little bit more comfortable with it. And so there's new products that are coming out that are like Bitcoin plus gold, which is kind of interesting. So I think that, I think overall, I think gold will go with it, but it will be a little bit more steady. So like the upswings won't be as violent, and neither will the downswings, right? And so it's kind of like this other instrument that people can use that is still, a bet against governments continuing to spend over time, right? And so I think it's like I wouldn't say it's the little brother. Right now, Bitcoin's still a little brother to gold, but a lot of people make that analogy of Bitcoin as the digital version of gold. And so I think, you'll see more and more products that are coming out as institutions feel more comfortable. I think once the Clarity Act passes at some point, you'll see an onslaught of new products that get creative,
Total, I don't know. Maybe you've talked about this before, but do you think at some point, like, let's say you're heavily invested in mag names, like Google or Tesla or something. Do you think at some point you'll be able to say, like, you want to sell some shares of like Google? Do you think you'll be able to exchange that out for Bitcoin directly or some form of like crypto asset? Or like, do you think it will always, like the equity markets will all more or less be?
No, I think so. I would not say no. I mean, I just listened to the All In podcast. They had, or what was it? The Iced Coffee podcast with Vlad from Robinhood. So they're kind of leading the way, with the tokenization and looking at some of this. with Bitcoin, I don't know if you'll ever be able to like get spot Bitcoin and like the actual Bitcoin, but you may be able to find some derivative of that at some point, right?
Sure.
And that's what I think will end up happening.
Okay.
We're living in this world where everything is going to be tokenized to some capacity, right? And you can get fractional sales of real estate, fractional, of a trading card, right? I think all of that is happening, and Robinhood will be a benefactor, from that, and other companies that are more leading edge, because you look at the new trends of people our age and younger. They want 24-hour trading. They want everything, be able to swap back and forth very quickly. Like Robinhood's becoming this everything app, right? Where you can bank with them, you can buy stocks with them, you can predict the Super Bowl winner with them, right? And so I wouldn't say no, but I think it wouldn't be direct ownership of Bitcoin.
Sure.
Very similar to like I don't know if it's similar to an ETF, but like the same concept where you're not actually holding the Bitcoin yourself. It's paper Bitcoin, if you will.
Okay.
So let's kick it over to to MSTR as well. We're on Bitcoin as well, just because that's the biggest name that people can buy in the stocks. I have 150 calls, full transparency for this week. So I'm hoping this thing continues.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if it will get all the way there, but on the upswing here, it's up 3% today.
I think just kind of looking at kind of the build out, the reclaim of basically 100, I think was huge.
Mm-hmm.
I think if it can bust out of this channel, I mean, obviously that's actually kind of pushing into your target there about 150, but I'd kind of argue if it can bust out of here, it's definitely going higher than 150. I could, near term, I'd put it back at like 190. Ultimately, if it can reclaim like this pivot low, which is about 220, it's like, dude, we're off to the races. Dude, I was so deep in fucking crypto scrolling all weekend. I
love it.
I think that the videos and the clips, dude, are so funny. I was like, I just was like, imagine if like equity traders got this hyped up over like investing and stuff. Like, God, the market would just be I don't know, it'd be unreal. But let's anyways, back to Mr. Yeah, let me go down to the daily quick.
It is fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see a CEO of other companies making these memes of their earnings calls. So you see Michael Saylor up there. I'll try to pull that one up, but this is the most famous one. I gotta pull this while we're grinding here. I don't know if you've ever seen this. This is a Bitcoiners like to have fun with this one.
You got to pump it up, don't you?
Yes.
Got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. Pump it. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up.
Dude, so good.
Pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up.
All right.
Pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up.
Yeah, we have fun.
Yeah.
I
couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't put the phone down. Yeah, good stuff. Anyways, back to Mr. I think we're taking a step in the right direction. You see the kind of the massive volume coming in, whether it's short covering or genuine buying. Somebody else could probably point to that, but reclaiming the 100 was huge. You've got the descending 200 day, which that's not the best look, but again, you get a pop over the 200 day. I think that's going to be big. Longer term, you need some time to get these longer term moving averages to flatline and kind of pull up.
So are you familiar with Stretch at all?
No.
Okay. All right. So you're I'll do some educating. So Stretch is they MSTR, so strategy now they're called, from micro strategy to full on strategy. They have a bunch of these preferred. So they have Stretch, Strike, Stride, a few others as well, basically. But like they're different levels of preferred stocks, right? So Stretch is like their biggest one that they're offering now, where you get
Oh,
basically like
okay.
almost like a money market account where they try to keep it at par with $100. Anytime it goes below, they'll raise. The idea is to raise the percentage that you're making. So right now, I think it's like 12, 13%. So, and what it does, it allows them to kind of just continue to refill and buy more Bitcoin. So as long as Bitcoin goes up, they're good. But that's also, they're paying those dividends out. So that's what scares people with MSTR a little bit too. If Bitcoin drops aggressively, they still have to pay those dividends out, right? And so because they're preferred, MSTR gets hit the most. But anytime, for people that are new to this space, in the simplest term, anytime Bitcoin goes up, MSTR should go up higher. Anytime Bitcoin goes down, MSTR goes lower than Bitcoin would, because
so it's like a levered, a levered play or a levered Bitcoin play.
Yeah, but then all of those Strike and Strive and Strife and all of the different preferreds have different mechanisms to them. Or some of them, you get closer to the price of Bitcoin. Some of them are like safer. Stretch has been their most successful one. STRC is the ticker on that. If you pull that up just so people can see the visual. But they try to keep it as close to $100 as possible, right? And then it did drop, scared the shit out of a lot of people. And then they were able to get it back. They also took out, I think they have like 18 months runway of cash too. So they started to get some cash. They want to make the credit much stronger. And so our Thursday show knows a lot more about this. So Halston and Jody really study this stuff, but you can see that they're trying to keep it right at $100. But it's bringing in tons of institutional money. They have, I think, let me see. I think they have like 480. They're closing in on like 500,000 Bitcoin right now. Let me get that exact number here. Bitcoin. I'll find it. I think it was like 480 something around there. But yeah, I mean, I bought, I'll raise my hand. I bought near the top for MSTR. So my financial advisor is telling me to move that over to a Roth IRA, pay the taxes now, because if you believe in Bitcoin long term, then that tax is already off the table. You don't have to pay it when you take it out when you retire.
Sure.
Yeah. And then go to ASST is another one. So Matt Cole is the CEO. He said we bottomed, and he's a very sharp guy. We brought him on the show a few times now. Look at that thing lift off too recently.
Yeah.
I have the 20 calls for January 2027. So if Bitcoin does continue through the rest of the year, those things should be printing.
You have, again, technically, or, pattern wise, you've got kind of a inverse head and shoulders here kind of built out. You're just based on the pattern. Your measured move on the pattern is kind of from same thing in like a head and shoulders. Your initial target should basically be the distance from the head to the neckline, and then same thing on the inverse. So basically, you've got the inverse head and shoulders built out. You're measuring from 7 to, let's just say 22. So you've got a 15-point run. You can just kind of measure that out from basically here, which kind of puts you back at 30. I would imagine, though, that this kind of pivot low, again, kind of acts as a magnet, or you could probably say, it looks good.
They have, and go to SATA, SATA. So that's their preferred. They do daily dividends, which is kind of cool. So that's been sticking closer, but that also dropped when it had a chance. So they also,
how do you so for, I guess, for you guys, when you're watching this and you see these massive dips, how do you play the upswing? Like, are you looking for something?
I mean, there's definitely opportunity. I haven't played options on these, but the idea again is to always get it back to par, right? And so how long does it dip for, ultimately? It is a great play, like you should take a look at it. You're probably better with charts to see when it gets, knowing that it has to get back to 100. But yeah, I haven't touched it.
I'm going to throw these on my watch list. For a lot of O'Neill kind of style, like growth investors and traders, they the bottoming pattern that they typically use and kind of lean into is essentially you have this, you know, in looking at this chart, you had this massive gap down, and you'd call this kind of a day one rally attempt, which was huge. On the individual candle combination, you'd call it a piercing candle. Like this candle closed well in the body of this one. So you could probably argue that, you know, the bulls or buyers are back in control. Once you had, you know, these two kind of follow through days, like for my style, like my entry would have been here through like 92.80. So I guess that, you know, that doesn't leave a whole lot of, I suppose, upside for me, but
checking to see if they have, yeah, they do. Yeah, I mean, you could buy leaps back to 100. There's a pretty big spreads on those. Yeah, I mean, that's probably easy. I'm sure a lot of people are doing that because they want to get it right back to 100. So anytime it drops below, you grab a couple months out, you'll catch that on the upswing.
You could probably throw, like, you know, again, for guys that are trying to trade these technically, you could probably throw some form of oscillator on, whether it's like a stochastics or something. And I'd be willing to bet that you've got some massive oversold reading, you know, probably in alignment with like that low. And again, if you know that they're trying to pin it back to 100, it's just a matter of kind of trying to time that, you know, that dip or that, yeah.
Real quick, so we can hit up Nvidia here in a second. I'm just going to the earnings whisperer. Some big names this week, I'd say, into it. After the close tomorrow, we got Zoom tomorrow as well. Nvidia has all eyes on that, but we also have Salesforce, CrowdStrike, OKTA. What else do people care about here? I don't think people are really trading Best Buy. Iron's a name that people are looking at quite a bit too. And that will impact.
Rubrik should be another. I would imagine a lot of eyes on Rubrik, but I mean, if you've got OKTA, did you say Zscalers on Wednesday?
Workday as well. Zscaler
or what I missed.
Wednesday, the big one, obviously the whole market kind of contingent, or what's the word I'm looking at? Is contingent on Nvidia after the close here. But Salesforce has been a name that's been ripping. CrowdStrike obviously has been ripping as well. So those will be pretty interesting if you want to pull some of those up.
Yeah, the way I would kind of anticipate heading into Nvidia, you know, just based on where price is at currently, I think you could argue that selling off ahead of EPS is probably a good thing. Or you could say that they're, you know, they're front running whatever they think, however they think. What the reaction is going to be like, you know, if they you know, crushed it, I'd be a buyer versus 195. They gap it higher and it's going to be like, dude, that's going to light the market on fire. We're going to fucking rip. I think the big, if you're not involved in Nvidia, I wouldn't say necessarily taking a position ahead of EPS, but depending on how the next couple of days play out, you could probably use today's candle as like a pivot or kind of through this like gap pivot high at like 222. Being that did you say they're reporting on Wednesday or Thursday?
Wednesday after the bell.
Yeah. So Thursday, you know, again, kind of coming into this week, I love red Mondays. It bodes well for a turnaround Tuesday, kind of a chop Wednesday. And then usually we get like some type of, you know, shitty Thursday price action. So again, kind of depending on how the next couple of days play out, if they smoke this on the open or you know, post EPS, I'd be a buyer pretty much at the open on Thursday. But I don't know. I like the way that it's kind of building out, and the bigger picture is it's just kind of basing. Like it's in a big freaking range.
You know, massive. So they, over the last 23 reported quarters, they beat 21 times, hitting above the rate of 91%, average beat around 9%. So I think they rip it. I don't think Trump allows them. That's my conspiracy theory that I've stuck to, is he's just like Jensen, just tell the people we'll get you out of jail if you're lying. Because it would bring the market down so much if they get wrecked, right? And so I think I don't know what Besant's saying right now, but check the queues right now. See if there's been any movement the past 8 minutes or so. Down.
Yeah, queues look pretty good. I mean, I liked the action coming into today.
Check.
Nah, we're holding pretty steady at like just under the open. Dude, I think the market looks so good right now.
I do too. I'm a permabull. I just think with this admin, it's especially heading into midterms. Like that's the one thing that's going well right now. Is they gotta keep us happy over on Wall Street. You want to go through some of these other ones? Hims, Oscar, Hinge. OMD,
yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of trades there. I think considering the Moderna news, I think overall
crazy.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of the start. You know, even to kind of zoom out and kind of just look at the IBB real quick. IBB looks phenomenal. Obviously, we're already in all-time high territory, but if you head over to the XBI, we're pretty much sitting just under all-time highs. So going down to kind of, like you said, Hims, Oscar, there's just, the individual, biotech names or genomic names or, whatever they may be. I think from a pure equity play. Yeah, dude.
How about my baby? It's been absolutely on fire.
Yeah.
Bought it 250, called it on the show, I think at like high twos.
It's just, I mean, it's like, you got to think that, again, I don't know if this is, conspiracy theory or whatnot, but like considering coming out of COVID, there was a lot of, like, Kathy was the situational awareness guy coming out of COVID, right? Like all those like genomic and biotech names got way ahead of themselves. Air got sucked out. They've been obliterated, but a lot of them have kind of what seemed to be like stabilized and kind of gone stage one. And now you're starting to see a bunch of them kind of emerge and break out. Twist was a big one. Twist and CRISPR were like the two that I think got a lot of focus. But, looking at Twist, I'd call this a stage one base. And obviously we broke out and we're trending higher. But if you look at CRISP, we're not quite there yet. It's still going stage one. Depending on your style, of trading or investing, there's a trade probably versus the low end of the range or, kind of coming and breaking out of this thing.
Genomics is a theme. That was something we used to talk about all the time during Pound the Table. They were crushing it. And maybe ARKG is the play here because my whole thesis is they'll get acquired by big pharma. All the data they have. We're moving towards this personalized medicine. You saw with Moderna, with now like the cancer vaccine. But we're moving, the future is going to be personalized medicine. Like
for sure,
50,000 people a year die from Tylenol, right? And you don't think about that, but Tylenol is, millions of people don't die from Tylenol at the same time, right? But as we get more and more closer to personalized medicine, maybe it's, obviously more expensive medicine, but it reads your DNA and it will be able to like make the medicine directly for you as an individual, which is gonna be cool.
Again, kind of coming out of COVID, I think no matter what your stance is on whether you got vaccinated or not, didn't get vaccinated, whether you believe in vaccine or don't, it doesn't really matter. We've all more or less like agreed to participate in this massive science experiment, or like this, or it's just like where we're at in terms of human evolution. And I agree with you in terms of personalized medicine because my brother's a chiropractor, and then he's also like leans heavily into optimizing like your diet essentially. So I'm trying to remember the name of the company it works for, but you basically go and have your blood work drawn, and they can tell you all the different foods that like are and how they impact you. Like You know, for instance, my mom just recently found out that like it was garlic and onions that were having this huge impact on her like gut and bloating and things. Dude, as soon as she cut that shit out, she's living the high life again. And so, like, again, to say that if there's like a one size fits all, I don't think you can really say that. So, I think the person across the board is huge, and that's kind of I think where we're. Yeah, I'm anyways. I'm in agreement with you.
I had a personal trainer, so shout out to Matt. I still got to bring him on the podcast, but he starts with that, right? He makes you take a test first. He was allergic to chicken. Yeah. And something you'd never think about, right? Like people are eating all these, normal foods that the masses eat. And sometimes people just are allergic to it and your gut health. And like, as soon as you take that away, you're like, oh shit, this is how I should have been living, and feel really good. I don't feel sluggish, but you don't realize it until you take it, right? Because chicken, who would have thought you're allergic to chicken, and you just thought that was your baseline for how you feel, and then you take it away and you're like, oh shit, I feel really good now. So
a lot of people, Swummer Joe is not on here because he could probably speak to it, but a lot of people when they change up their diet and they go to like, let's say like an omnivore, or they go vegan or vegetarian or whatever the case may be,
a Whole30.
Yeah, a lot of the time it's kind of difficult, I think, to really pinpoint what it is and what was actually like impacting you, because you did such an overhaul when I don't know if you necessarily, I guess maybe slowly you can start to reintroduce like certain foods, but I just feel like having the blood work done and having that right in front of your face, you can look. I know that when I did it the last time, like I had a huge thing with like shrimp, interestingly, was a big thing. And I don't need a lot of shrimp, although like you put shrimp scampi in front of me and I'm gonna fucking dominate that bucket, but
yeah, I'm a big shrimp guy. I will give a free advertisement to Yucca. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Yucca app.
No.
YUKA. There's another one called Yucca is like more free. Oasis, I believe you have to pay for. But I never go to the grocery store without it. Like truly, I just scan the back of it and it will tell you, because so much fake advertisement is out there. Yeah. Like you think something says organic, good for you, and then you get it like a 20 out of 100, and you're like, oh shit, they have all these like pesticides, or they have all these additional, like even I just got this like healthy cereal that like the low carb, high protein, looks super healthy, and then I did the Yucca score after I bought it, of course. So now I got to throw it out, but it has this like monosodium phosphate or something and it like sticks into your blood, and like people have been like, it causes cancer later on. So like those types of apps, like get the Yucca app, get the Oasis app. If you want to eat clean, they do kind of go under the covers, under the hood, and tell you what's actually in it.
You're in Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Do you know that Sweet Honey Farms guy?
I do not.
I think it's Sweet Honey Farms. There, I've got Instagram deactivated, but there's a guy like he'd perpetually show up in my like feed as like advertisements, but he's got like a blood draw, like a quick blood draw thing that he's always kind of pumping. But I'm pretty sure he's kind of in your neck of the woods, or at least his farm is, I believe. He kind of turned their farm into kind of like a holistic
New Jersey.
I don't know the dude, but
we're living in this world. I mean, the FDA is finally, I was waiting for them to like crack down on a lot of this, right? But even organic stuff, they spray so much stuff in the sky now that it like comes down on the organic stuff. But you can do what you can do. Like at the end of the day, I'm like a crazy, and my wife's like, listen, like you can't like live your life like that constantly, but like eat as clean as you can. But we have this huge push, right, where the FDA is now like cracking down and seeing all of this, these issues with these, pesticides that go on the drinking water. People are starting to look more into this. And so hopefully, and I got to pull up this tweet. It was saying like big pharma is like obviously coming in heavy. And even though they're, people are much more focused, diabetes is at an all-time high, cancer is at an all-time high. It's like, we think that we're living longer, but the reality is like, the game is that the big pharma wants to keep their customers, right? And so, you look at like Bayer, have fun with that. Go on to YouTube and dig into Bayer, and Monsanto and all those guys. Man, our podcasts always go off the deep end here. I think it's important though for people to think about and look at their health. I'm not the healthiest guy. Like I know what to do, but I don't always do it. So
yeah, totally. I mean, I'm kind of with you. I think you can only do so much at a certain. It's kind of like the hypochondriac. It's like
right. Even looking at like the biggest thing recently was the avocado oils. So the FDA is now going after all these brands that you thought you were getting away from seed oils. Would say 100% avocado oil, and then they did all this testing. Oasis app did this. They did a bunch of testing on it. They're like 0% is avocado oil. It's all seed oil.
Holy shit! Wow.
It's not necessarily the brands themselves, because the brands buy it thinking that it probably is avocado oil from these distributors, and it actually is not. So, who would have thought Avi would be the health guy here? It's a health podcast now.
Yeah. I mean, either way, I think it's like an incredibly exciting time. Like when you're talking about personalized health, we're also talking about like a massive intersection between, tech and health. And like you kind of said, like we're living longer, but I think the real thing there is like our quality of life, like I don't know, if I'm going to live a long time, like I'd like to remain like active and mobile, as opposed to kind of like, I come down with something nasty and I'm just bedridden. It's like, okay, just pull the plug and let me go.
Yeah. I got to find this tweet. The other thing that's really cool too, if you have a pet that is hurt, again, not medical advice, but I've been watching all these videos of BP 157.
Oh yeah, dude.
Dogs that cannot. Here, let me see if I can pull one of these up, because that was pretty cool. You see all these videos of dogs that could not walk, and then let's see if I can grab one here. Here we go. Let's pull this bad boy up. You see this? Like the dog couldn't move, but there's like a lot of these videos. Let me see if I can go to media. And then the dogs like can run again. There were some other ones.
That is so insane. I took that at one point when I was experiencing tennis elbow and like some shit on my right shoulder, and I don't really know if I think it helped because like I got over it, but I don't know entirely.
Yeah, well, and that fair point, because placebo is big, right? But what they were saying with the dogs is like they don't know if it's a placebo or not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's like the coolest thing is the dogs are taking it, and the dogs are getting up, and like old dogs that have like joint problems or whatnot. I just saw another thing where they like literally cut the eye open of a rat and gave it BP 157, and then the rat could see again. Like after they like literally did a whole, I'm gonna try to find that one too. I spend way too much time on the internet, as you guys can tell. But I do think the animal experiments, while PETA's going to come after us, I think it is interesting to start taking a look at what they can do. And like literally, there was like a mouse who had a broken back, and they gave BP 157. It seems like too good to be true, and oftentimes, but and I've never taken it, and this is not medical advice, so talk to your doctor or whatever, but it is pretty cool to watch, usually before things are accepted on the massive scale, you hear stories from your friends. I have so many friends that have taken like TRT, and, I wish Joey was on the podcast, because like he talks about how his energy level is just electric, and he just feels amazing every morning, and peptides. So this is a whole big intro to going to HIMSS. Actually, it was just an elongated intro to go to HIMSS. But I wonder too, like maybe that's the best way to do it is ARKG, because I haven't kept up with the genomics as much, but I don't know when it's going to happen, but I would bet big that it's going to happen, where a lot of these genomics companies get acquired for their data by big pharma.
Sure.
What are we seeing on HIMSS? I do have a November call still for HIMSS.
Yeah, I mean on the short term, I think today is, if you did kind of get involved either on this candle or for whatever reason, if you were back in here, I think today is kind of a good spot. It's kind of a back test of this breakout. this candle again can kind of act as like your igniter. So on the short term, I think you're risking, 27, maybe a little under 27 if you want, but it looks like they're putting in a higher low from this low here. So I don't know. I like HIMS a lot. I think Eli Lilly though is kind of obviously the big swinging dick here, and it looks good too. It's kind of just sitting here and flirting with, this breakout.
That's
depending on where you're involved
at some point. I mean, we talked about Retta. Yep. Retta is going to be a miracle drug for a lot of people.
I kind of am with you, like on the ARK from the ARKG stance. I think depending on where and how you're playing, like the individual, whatever these names, how you're playing them, I think the safest bet is probably either through options or the ETFs, whether it's the IBB or XBI or ARK. I think ARKG is probably the easiest way to play it. I'd have to look and see if there's other, I could probably just pull up FinViz real quick and kind of see if there's any,
where's ARKG 47 right now? Yeah, I mean, the look at the leaps on those. They're pretty expensive still.
Are they? Yeah, it's probably, like I said, from a risk standpoint, playing the ETF or going the option route's probably your safer bet. Even stuff kind of like, IOVA, for instance, like it looks phenomenal, but for me as like a technical guy, like I don't know, not really paying attention to trial phases and all the different things that kind of go into kind of pushing, price around. And, who knows if one announcement could kind of obliterate, send this thing back to, let's say $4 or something like that.
Yeah. That's the fear with these bios, but they do have, let me find some tweet that's talking about it. They have a bunch of stuff coming up. I just reached out to their, CEO, see if I can get them on the podcast because
sweet.
What's crazy to me is people that are shorting like cancer stocks. It's like people are
sure.
Sick. You want these things to survive and do well. But yeah, they have like melanoma has been their big thing forever, and they're gonna have their lung. And on the last earnings call, IOVA's CEO said like the lung data is even better. Just wait for it. I think that's coming here towards the end of the month here as well. So. Yeah, I mean, it could certainly go down and swing back down to 6, maybe even 4 if it, anytime the data comes out. And a lot of the time these data I was digging into, the one fear I had, it was with like 8 people, right? So if one person doesn't react well to it, that drops the percentage of people that are getting cured by it quite a bit. So I'm still very long. IOVA is now like it's kind of scary for me. It's like one of the top positions now in my portfolio, and it did not start close to that.
Are there any like hardcore like biopharma guys that you follow on like Twitter or whatnot, or is it kind of like your own kind of due diligence?
So my dad's friend got me in it. He's got like a couple $1 million on it, and so I started looking into it. Anytime someone's got big money on it, and he he'll send me a lot of StockTwits stuff too. He's a big StockTwits guy.
Sure.
But he's checking that constantly and will send me 3 to 5, different screenshots from people throughout. Let me go to the IOVA. Not anyone that I could say is like the best at it. But I did add to it, even, when I bought it at 225, I think was my original price.
Sure.
I did buy when it went down to $8, just because he thinks it can go to 80, that seems high, but he's a very, very strong believer. I mean, if they do, I mean, they're growing, their costs are coming down. They're growing internationally now. They've got the lung data. They have a few other, things that are coming out too. So not investment advice, but IOVA is a fun one to watch.
I think I still have a pharma bio list of guys. I'll have to look that I kind of put together, because again, like as a technical guy, I'll borrow, their conviction. I find it so fascinating how, I would imagine a lot of them are in the medical field or come from like a medical background where they can, based on, this trial and that trial and this drug hit in the market, they can kind of almost, I don't want to say predict, but somewhat can, where price and like where the stock ultimately should go based on that. But I haven't really paid attention. If I didn't delete it, I'll forward it over to you, or like some of the names on it. Because like I remember the guys were, obviously this was kind of 2019, 2020 when everything was working, but I definitely pulled a lot of monster winners from those guys, just riding their coattails. But
it is like there's FinTwit, then there's like Bio. It is a kind of its own sector, because you can't half-ass know about this. You need to like actually have an understanding. For what it's worth, a whale made a $1.7 million call for January of 2027 that it will surpass 1135
in IOVA. Yeah.
So I haven't sold a share. I'm gonna keep holding that thing at least through 20. So we'll keep people going and updates on that. Oscar was another one you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, Oscar's good looking. Again, kind of another one that's sitting there flirting at all-time highs. Again, zooming out.
Did their CEO buy $1 million worth? Or was that?
I don't know.
I thought their CEO did a big buy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't pay too much attention to that, but again, you kind of had an inverse head and shoulders kind of built out here as price got kind of smoked off the IPO, and then basically put in another monster base. I'm kind of in the camp that this thing's just getting started. In the near term, we are kind of sitting at a measured move, just kind of based on the width of the range. This is a 10-point range. You just kind of extend that out from 20 to basically 30, which is where we're sitting. But the trend is up, and I think it's in the right space. And again, kind of looking at the weekly, for my style of trading, it's trending in the direction that I want it to be in. But
yeah,
I've been kind of more or less in and out of it. I do have a position on, but I'm more or less flat in it right now. But yeah, I don't know. Oscar, Hinge was another one that looks phenomenal. It's already kind of broken out of this kind of monster IPO base. So again, kind of flirting at highs. So for breakout traders, these are all sitting in, kind of the spot you want to see. Again, for breakout guys, you're just kind of setting your alerts at highs or through a pivot high. For guys that are wanting to get it on a discount, you probably got to wait for like the longer term moving averages to catch up, or maybe it fails here and kind of reverts back to the low end of the range, and you can snag some versus like 70. But there's 1,000 ways to skin the cat.
What trades do you have on right now? You don't need to pull up your portfolio, but
where
you put in your money where the mouth is. Yeah.
PLTR and Dash are my two biggest positions I have on in my concentrated account. Again, PLTR put in a 3-week tight. I think this is getting ready to rip higher. Dash, interestingly, I had no intention of like building a position in Dash. It just kept working. And yeah, I don't know. It popped on my radar. I mean, it's kind of always been on my radar, just being how it kind of built out here. Again, you could kind of argue kind of a big cup and handle. Anytime price takes out the 200-day or these longer term moving averages, the way I look at it is kind of like the base count has more or less reset. So you're getting kind of fresh setups as, price kind of bases out. So again, back to kind of these patterns, and you have kind of a descending wedge built out. I feel like Dash is gravitating back towards highs, and then, whether or not it takes out highs, again, to be determined. But in the near term, I think that that's kind of where we're gravitating towards. And if you look at how, I don't know, again, if you look how Dash kind of played out, I got stopped out on this candle. If I, pull over to the daily, I thought it was looking real good right here. They dropped the floor, and then, you know, price ultimately kind of put in a higher low off the 50-day here. Probably trapped some guys that were short on this candle. Then we got kind of a follow through, kind of a breakout candle here, or what I would call an igniter. In a weird way, I have kind of perpetually been bullish on Dash ever since. Dude, I thought it was the stupidest fucking thing, honestly. Like, I understood, like, during COVID, you know, people couldn't go anywhere, so people were getting food delivered to you. But then, you know, hearing my daughter talk about how, like, kids are getting milkshakes and Big Macs, like, DoorDash to the school because they don't want to eat the school food. I'm like, oh my God, you know, like, dude, if people are willing to DoorDash a freaking $15 milkshake, like, this is
nuts.
Yeah. So
I switched over. I was using Grubhub forever and used Seamless forever, which is a Grubhub brand in Manhattan. But I did switch over to DoorDash.
Grubhub? I thought Grubhub was publicly traded. Is it not?
I don't know if they are or not. But DoorDash, I did switch over because Chase, I think, did a partnership with them. So I get like $5 off or something. I got some email and I was like, all right, I'll test it out. They're all overpriced though. And you know, it's crazy because I'll get from the sushi place and then I was going to deliver and it's only like 10 blocks away. So like I usually just go walk up there and get some steps in. But they not only do they charge, it's like a you know, I think I picked it up the other day and it's like the same order we always get is like $80 with DoorDash and it's like $60 when I went to go pick it up because there's all these like fees. And then the other thing, you know, people don't probably realize this, that they add like $1 or $2 to every item, you know?
Oh, sure.
You know, so I don't know. It is not something I'd invest in, but
you could probably put Airbnb and Dash in kind of the same category. Like Airbnb looks phenomenal too.
Oh, wow.
To me, like you had this kind of monster stage 1 base. I don't know what the news was or, you know, what you know, I don't know what the catalyst was, whether it was an EPS thing or not, but it was showing up on my radar, like on my master watch list, I constantly toggle between dollar gainers and percent gainers. And so a lot of times the way stuff pops up on my radar is it's just going to, if a stock has a big dollar gain day or a percent gain, I'm going to see it, you know, whether or not I missed an entry or missed a trade in it. Like, you know, I'm gonna, like, that just happened, or obviously. But Dash was really starting to show up on, I can't remember if it was kind of back in here or through here, but obviously on that move, it popped up. But I'm not a huge, I was an Airbnb fan, like, I don't know, way back when, but the last several times I've stayed at a Airbnb, I've gotten really fucking annoyed with like all the tasks that they like. What do you mean you're gonna like have me do all this shit and then you're charging me like another arm and leg for like I mean obviously you gotta, you know, there's a cleaning fee for having a cleaning crew come in and do stuff, but then like I don't know, it turned me off, and I'd honestly rather build my points and stay at a Marriott at this point than an Airbnb, but you know, whatever. I know we're running past time.
Here's a tweet right here that is exactly what you're saying. But this is for the host, frustrating host. Per weekend reporting, Airbnb host contribute to a critical portion of the platform's inventory. Any structural change? I know a lot of people got, you know, during COVID, people were buying up in Florida, and there was a huge turnover there just because the demand came down. Or right before COVID, they were buying a bunch of places, and then the demand went down, or vice versa, something like that, where people just got fucked on their houses. They bought them for investment properties, and the fees are coming down. They're nearing their all-time high. I just saw. So maybe they get re-rated here, but you're
in like ski towns, I know, especially nearing like Vail resorts, like with, you know, different, I don't know what you call it, like zoning laws or whatnot are being put into place where, you know, if they're basically telling you ahead of time, or like before you can buy a house, you know, let's say I'm going to buy a house.
They don't want people coming in and out.
Yeah, no short-term like like they're putting a limit on short-term rentals. Obviously, like the way around that is to say, okay, well, you know, then I just have to kind of cater to like a higher price point, and I'm renting out for like 3 months at a time or 6 months at a time instead of like, you know, by the day. But either way, I like the ski towns have been getting, there've been a lot of problems, particularly with staffing and housing. And if you don't have staff, you don't have the staff to run those ski resorts, like, you know, they're gonna be hurting. But the last time I was skiing at Vail, there was a couple of realtors in the gondola that were, or the gondola that were, I just overheard them kind of like talking about, you know, people complaining about Airbnb and partying and whatnot. But, you know, I don't know. It's all a game.
Anything else here as we wrap it up? I do see we are at time, but
I mean, honestly, like I think it's your world right now. I think like all eyes on crypto and fintech. You know, we didn't really touch on Mastercard or Visa, but those are two that were, you know, breaking out to all-time highs. I have positions in both, not big, but I think all things fintech, like even XYZ is looking pretty good. Again, like kind of back to the, you know, real quick, back to the biotech and genomic names coming off of the like kind of COVID bubble. A lot of the fintech stuff too kind of did the same. And XYZ obviously being, or I don't know, isn't it Square or whatever?
Yeah, they moved to Block. They moved to Block. We actually brought on not Jack, but we brought on the other co-founder, Jim McKelvey, and wild conversation.
Yeah,
he was just so confident. I'd say I won't give him cocky, but he was confident that he's like we have such low spreads right now. He's like, if we turn it up 0.1%, no one's going to leave us, and all of a sudden we're making millions and millions of more dollars. He was a former Fed, or I think he still works at the St. Louis Fed. But the XYZ, they put, I want to say 4 million different of their businesses now will accept Bitcoin. And so as Bitcoin rises, I think, XYZ is going to benefit. And as it becomes more ubiquitous to like pay with stable coins and pay with Bitcoin and things like that, like they're in the driver's seat. They have a lot of these small, you know, stores that will accept it.
Sure. Everywhere I go, they're using Square or you're using it.
Yeah.
Like I'd probably say almost like every food truck, every restaurant, every small little like local retailer. I mean, that's kind of what I think if there was a push, again, now we're going conspiracy theory, but if there was a wild push to end like paper currency, and COVID played a part in that, like honestly, like anywhere here in the cities, and it's cool how you can just like tap and pay, and then it, you know, will text you a receipt. This is a massive stage 1 base. And obviously when price is in a base or a range, like it can go on for quite a while, but you know, I'd probably be as cocky or as arrogant as him. Like when this thing starts to go, it's going to fucking rip. I would not be surprised to see once price breaks out of here, it not to take very long to get back to highs. At the same time, like if there was bad news or something else too, like I could see it breaking down, but that's just not the way that the base is building out.
Yeah. I like this one. I think this is going to be one we replay this episode and be like, wow, you did call.
Yeah.
It's about to break out. I think Jack works for the CIA and Jim's in the Fed. So they're pretty close to this stuff. So,
sure.
And I don't know if it's a conspiracy. I mean, maybe I'm just in my little Bitcoin bubble, but it's very clear they want to get rid of paper money, and we're moving. We're already there with credit cards. Like people don't really use cash. I barely use cash anymore. And I think we'll move closer and closer to this cashless society. And, you know, I've talked to, when I was working at this custodian, we were talking with someone who was mentioning like the government is already starting to, you know, maybe it's with like welfare. They were doing it with tribes of Native Americans to start to track, you know, what they're spending the money on. And so they would give them stable coins, and then they'd see like where they're spending their money. And, you know, that gets into big brother stuff. So it's funny because I'm Bitcoiners in general, it's always like one of the funniest things I think about is like Bitcoiners in general are like anti-government, but we're ultimately paving this path, like
For
the stable coins and digital.
Yeah.
Where you can get tracked constantly. Right. And Bitcoin wallets can get frozen, so, we will,
there's no like,
you can't control it. It's happening.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm
can't fight.
Because
can't fight it.
Might as well go with it.
All righty. Well, tomorrow we have 12:30. Yeah, thank you. I will actually we'll give a little love to our sponsor real quick. I'll let you go. And then I'll come back with what we are doing here tomorrow. So let me pull that quick ad. We got Jody here with a new ad.
Bitcoin and gold side by side on one platform. Ledn now supports Tether Gold, and we're excited to announce them as partners of the Daily Stack Show. Every asset is protected by the same custody discipline that's safeguarded over $11 billion in client value since 2018. Your transaction account and loan collateral assets are never lent out for interest, never used to generate yield, and never put at risk to fund the business. The world's hardest assets with the flexibility to move between them. Explore what's new at ledn.io, LEDN.io.
All right, folks, we are going to wrap this up. Tomorrow, we have Father of Trades as well as our good friend KT, Problem Sniper, coming back on 1:30 now. So, KT, I'm going to shoot a text to you right now and make sure that you are there for 1:30 tomorrow. But appreciate everyone for joining today. Have a good trading week, and we'll be back tomorrow at 12:30.